Well, we're not going to have our mascot, Cosmo,
I
introduce
know
this podcast.
no barking and no having me like you see my arm moving as I'm petting him.
Yeah.
Um, exactly. So
Well,
yeah,
happy holidays. Merry Christmas,
thank
happy
you.
Hanukkah, happy holidays to everyone, to you, and happy New Year. We're almost to the end of 2023. So tell
Yep.
us where you are, though.
I'm in London. So we spent the last 9 days in Portugal, and we were in London before that. And so we just got in. We just flew into London this afternoon, and yeah, having a good or having a holiday. I don't
Yeah.
know how good it's been. I've been sick and I sprained my ankle,
Oh,
and it's the worst part is I brought my bike specifically because I wanted to do a lot of riding in Portugal,
yeah.
and because I'd read how good the riding was, and the truth is when I did ride, I got three decent rides and one really short ride. The roads were amazing,
Hmm.
and the countryside was amazing, and the drivers were good. But yeah, just being sick and not feeling quite up to it. And
Yeah.
then we actually had some, I mean, colder days, like like kind of like Vegas weather days in the
Yeah.
winter. Um, but so yeah, I didn't get a lot of riding, but man, it's been a pain in the butt carrying my bike around,
Yeah.
as,
Right.
as you know, and especially in Europe because like all the cars are small,
Hmm.
and like you want to get a taxi or an Uber, like even the Uber XL, just getting your bike in there is a
Hmm.
little bit of a challenge here. So I feel like I've carried my bike all around and for about 3.5 hours or 4 hours of riding, but it is
So are
what it
you
is.
packing your bike up each time or you're just
Yeah, so I actually did not unpack it in London.
okay.
So we were in London for 3 days before we went to Portugal and didn't unpack it. But then
Oh
as soon
yeah.
as we got to Portugal, I unpacked it. And
Hmm.
then we actually rented a car in Portugal.
Okay.
And so I just kept it unpacked.
Yeah.
You know
Okay.
what I mean? Um, but still, it was, yeah, it's kind of
Which
sad.
which um which bag are you using nowadays? Because
So I actually am not happy with it at all. It's a new one. I got it to go to Finland, which I didn't have doing. It's the Evoc
yep.
OC. And it's like the second from the highest one.
Yeah. So
And
soft case.
soft, but it's got struts in it that you can
Yeah.
take out.
Hmm.
You can fold it down. That's why I wanted it. I wanted one that could fold down
Okay.
kind of small.
Hmm.
And but man, it's not been a good bike bag.
Hmm.
I'm very disappointed in it. I wouldn't buy it again. I don't think
Yeah.
I'll travel with it again. I shouldn't be saying this because I'm gonna try and sell it to
Yeah.
somebody.
Yeah. Right.
So
Right. Right.
it's
Right.
a
Right.
great one. It's actually an exceptional bike bag.
Yeah.
And no, but yeah, and it's a little bit bigger than bike bag I had before. And my bike is really small for,
Yeah. Yeah. Hmm.
it's a 52, it's a road bike. You could probably fit a 60 in it.
Hmm. Hmm.
And so like it's a little bit too big, and it only had wheels. It only has wheels on one side,
Okay. Well,
and
interesting.
so like I'm like lifting it, carrying it around, like we're going,
Mm.
we to the train,
Yeah.
here like you fly and then you get on a train,
Yeah.
and well you
Yeah.
got to walk to the
Yeah.
train, and it's just yeah, it has not been a good bike bag, so I'm a little disappointed. But hey, you gotta travel with them to learn.
That's right. You got to figure it out. Okay, so let's jump to our theme because I want to dive into this a little bit more. We were going to do something really serious about salt consumption and personalized, which I love because someone, one of our favorite listeners, Rick, sent us a link for a really neat paper. But we both feel we need to read the entire paper. It's not available yet. This is a
Yeah.
print ahead, or it's ahead of print that it's actually available. And so we're going to get a copy of the paper and then go through that a little bit more. And then we were going to do something serious like power, time, duration curve, which is a great topic to go over. But it's the end of the year. So
Yeah,
instead,
have
let's
some
do
fun.
something lighthearted, we said, and we're going out with the old, in with the new.
Absolutely. Out with the old, in with the new. So let's talk about this first, John, because we were talking about this a little off the air. So as far as out with the old, let's get to that. But let's start with the new. So John, what are you looking forward to the most in 2024?
Well, as I mentioned right before we started, I haven't signed up for any races yet. So new for me will be to push the button and register for some races. I've got some in mind, and I'm actually thinking of doing an entirely new race that I've never done before, which is exciting. I have a choice between doing a race that probably a little less expensive, but I've done it before several times. I know the course, I know the weather, I know where to stay, I know all the logistics. It's a very comfortable race. I know what I'm going to probably hit time wise, but then there's an attraction to do something different and something new, go to a new place, a new course, and all that. And so I'm leaning towards doing a new course. So that'll be fun to actually push the button and register for
No, I think it sounds good. I think it's fun, like with triathlon, because there always is the ability to do something new.
it.
Like I'm wearing my Alcatraz shirt right now.
Yeah, yeah, I noticed that. That's awesome.
Like that is like I'm thinking about like last year, that was a highlight of the year.
Hmm.
Was even though I didn't have like the
Yeah,
race I kind of wanted to there, like to do that and to do something different and to do
yeah,
something challenging. Like that was definitely a highlight. And so I think it's a great idea. I mean, I know last year you did the Massachusetts
yeah,
race
yeah.
and Western Mass, and that was a new race for you.
Hmm.
And I kind of thinking about that as I start to think about the future for me in triathlon and what that means. And one of the things it means, I think, is to find new places
Yeah.
and
Hmm.
to experience new things.
Hmm.
And it's pretty cool that we have triathlon to do that. Like
Yeah.
we've talked about it many times. Like when we went to Austria, for example, we would never went to that small town
No.
in
Hmm.
Austria. If we go to Austria, you're going to go to Salzburg or Vienna. You're not going to go to Zelensee, right? And so I think that's what triathlon has brought me, is that. And so I'm with you. I think that's great. And if you end up going to this yet to be unnamed race,
Yeah,
uh,
yeah.
I think that's a good thing to look
Yeah.
forward to for the year.
It's experiences. I mean, this is our hobby. This is what we do as our lifestyle. And I don't like calling it a hobby so much. I really think of it as a lifestyle. And to build this into taking us to different places, I think is just a neat approach. And so, that's in terms of 2024, I am looking to do a new race. I think that's one of the top on the list. How about you? What's your big new for 2024
So it's
besides a new
new.
bike box?
Yeah, it's new and it's not new. So it's interesting. Like I've had some health struggles this
Mhm.
past year, and they're still not where I want to be. We talked a lot about my urethra on this, but especially that, like I know to train the way I need to train, that needs to be better. And I can't do what I need to do.
Right.
And so I've really been thinking a lot about this. And what I'd really like to do is become even a better coach.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had some really good successes with people this year. Like several people went to the world championship. I mentioned a few weeks ago, another person I coached, she won the national championship. I had another person fifth place in the national championship that I coach. And so I'd like to develop that even further. Um, and not just develop it like just pure coaching, but like the mentorship side.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
And I know this is what we do on this podcast is we're mentoring people, right? And we're even kind of mentoring each other in triathlon.
No, totally.
Um, and I want to take that even deeper with the coaching and get away from like the importance of setting up the workouts.
Mm-hmm.
Like in triathlon coaching, in my opinion, the workouts are like half of it
Yeah.
and the schedule is half of it. The other half is like being a really good mentor to people
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
helping work through a lot of the issues that people have with racing, whether that's the mental side of it or it's the equipment side of it or whatever that is. I'm looking to develop myself to be even better at that side.
I love that. And
And go ahead.
oh, I was just gonna say that gives a more, robust approach to coaching because you're right. I mean, you can open up a book and get training plans out of them, but it's the coaching, the value is really the input that you're having with each individual athlete. So I'm curious when you start looking at this coach development, where do you find yourself going for information to develop as a coach?
It's really interesting. Like I actually go to a lot of podcasts.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I've got a list of about 8 good podcasts, and some are not triathlon.
Mm-hmm.
Some are specific to cycling. Some are actually specific to running that I go to, and I listen to, and most of them are actually geared towards coaches. And I listen to other coaches, and I don't just listen to like what their workouts are, because John, there's no magic workout.
Right.
There really isn't.
Mm-hmm.
And now there are times and timing of doing things and peaking for races and stuff, and then that's there is some art and science to that, but a lot of it is the relationships that these coaches develop. And the funny thing is that even though people are paying me, for the service, I've I've developed friendships with these people.
Yeah, right.
And to me, like, that's a really cool thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, like when you get older, it's sometimes harder to develop relationships
Mm-hmm.
and friendships. And like I've got these friends now that are they're set, like we have conversations. I have conversations more with people I coach than with some of my closer friends.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's a forced relationship in some ways, but I truly enjoy it. Like I truly enjoy the relationship aspect.
Right.
And so yeah, I want to develop that side deeper
Mm-hmm.
with people that I coach. So that's it's a weird to think about. Like, this is probably the first year I've really looked at it and not thought primarily of myself
Mm-hmm.
and what I'm going to do as far as triathlon, but like helping to develop that side further to better other people.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, it's giving back. I mean, you've gained all this experience, not only from racing, but from the coaching that you've done to date, but also through work and all the experiences you have as an athletic training, as a sports medicine expert. I think this is a neat era to think about, giving back more. So I think that's very admirable.
Well, I really thought about it when I switched over from being a clinician to teaching,
Hmm.
and how it was hard in the beginning, but now I enjoy that so much more than being a clinician,
Hmm.
right? So like I'm teaching other people to be clinicians.
Yeah.
And so I think that that's kind of like where this transition is maybe happening in my mind a little bit with triathlon
Hmm.
right now, is can I get that same kind of joy,
Hmm.
right, out of coaching that I get out of teaching? Because I truly, like, John, I think you know this, and we've talked a lot about this, but I, like you, truly enjoy mentoring
Yeah.
students. And like our job can be thankless and difficult at times, but when you're talking to students and they're actually getting it
Hmm.
and you're making an impact, like there's nothing
Yeah.
better.
Yeah. Right.
And so if I can get that out of triathlon, it's like kind of win-win, like two loves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I love it. And what's neat also with the mentoring part is where they come back or you run into them in a year or 2 years or 3 years down the road, and they say, "Hey, that course was really impactful to me."
Yes.
That is really a testament to some of the work that both you and I have done, and that's always nice. Um, what's also neat though, this mindset of giving back, you don't need to be a coach. And so someone who's listening, you can get a lot of value for yourself, not being selfish here, by giving back, whatever that giving back means, whether it means volunteering for an event or, helping someone just get started, maybe to learn the area or some advice, and that giving back, even in small buckets, is really valuable for each person.
No, you're absolutely right. And it's interesting, John, like when we started this podcast, we were
Hmm.
just, it was during COVID, and we were like, well, we were just having conversations, and
Yeah,
we're
so
like, we
let's
should be
hit
recording
record.
this, right? And I actually look at this podcast now as us giving back,
Yeah, that's right.
right? Like the amount of information that we've given out,
Hmm.
um, I mean, it's been huge.
Yeah,
Like this has been a master level class. If you were to listen to all, I don't know how many episodes we have now,
yeah,
almost
we
4
got a
years,
lot of hours of content.
almost 4 years coming up
Yeah,
of content.
yeah,
I mean, you could become a really dang good triathlete,
yeah.
you know, if you'd listen to our good advice and then not listen to our bad advice
Right.
throughout the years. Now, we don't tell you which is which,
Yeah. Well,
unfortunately.
it's funny. Actually, I use a lot of these videos for my class, and I call them immersion videos. whether I'm teaching biomechanics of endurance performance, physiology of endurance performance, or just straight up biomechanics, I post these videos and I say, you need to listen to these videos because if you can hear the content that we're covering in the course talked about in a practical application, you're learning and now you're trying to put these pieces together. So I think that these types of conversations are huge for students to listen to, and then make sure that they're picking up the course content throughout these conversations.
Yeah, and a lot of it's the practical application, right?
Yeah.
Like I think back to some of the conversations we had, I don't know, with like John Thornham, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
we're talking about wheels and wheel
Yeah.
design,
Yeah.
and it's pretty deep, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's biomechanics,
Yeah. That's right.
it's mechanics, it's
Yeah.
engineering.
Mm-hmm.
And if you sit there in your biomechanics class, and I know you do a lot of stuff with especially biomechanics of endurance, with cycling, but now you're talking to somebody in the industry,
Yeah.
right?
Right. Right.
And that practical application, it
Yeah.
doesn't get any better than
Yeah.
that.
Mm-hmm.
Or we talk to people like Laura Siddle, right?
Yeah.
And the high level pro triathletes,
Mm-hmm.
and what they're actually doing, it's practical application.
Yeah.
And we've had many of those people on. It's really interesting to tie them together.
Mm-hmm.
um, I always tell my students this, that the best way to learn about a medicine is to get sick and have to take it.
Oh, yeah. Right. Right.
But when
Mm-hmm.
you're reading it in the book,
Mm-hmm.
like so next semester I'm teaching a sports pharmacology class.
Yeah.
When you're reading the book and you've never heard of the disease and you've never heard of the medicine,
Uh-huh.
right? It's hard to conceptualize.
Right.
And or until a family member has that disease and is taking that medicine or something, when it's personal. And it's the same with what we've done with this podcast. A lot of the things that we read and we've talked about, we've taken it personal,
Mm-hmm.
right? I know you and I spent a lot of time, was it 3 or 4 years ago, doing lactate testing.
Yeah.
And I think both of us kind of realized how it's kind of pseudoscience,
Mm-hmm.
but we did it on each other.
Yeah.
And
Right.
and then, like, my practical application, personally, I thought that it's really not that helpful,
Mm-hmm.
right? But we did it,
Yeah.
and we teach about lactate testing, and we teach about lactate threshold and things like that. So yeah, I think that that's been a pretty cool thing that we've done.
Yeah, no, it is, and I think it's a neat extension of teaching. Okay, so let's talk more about out with the old. What is
Yeah.
going out?
Well, the bike bag.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
What's going out for me? Oh my gosh. I'm hoping my health
yeah,
gets
yeah.
gets better.
Right.
It's been a
Mm-hmm.
real struggle. Um, just I'll throw this out there because my personal struggles are kind of what we talk about sometimes, unfortunately. I also having significant shoulder problems, and I think I'm gonna have to have a shoulder surgery relatively soon.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that's part of the reason I'm thinking about this coaching stuff even more.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm really hoping that that I can get to the point where I can run, bike, and swim like I want to. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
it's John, it's you deal with this too, with with some of your issues. When you know that you should be doing this and this for training,
Mm-hmm.
and you want to mentally, and you physically can't,
Yeah.
that's heartbreaking.
Right.
And it's also, it's interesting for just me personally, like as an athletic trainer and as a clinician, I dealt with so many injured athletes,
Mm-hmm.
in my career. And until you actually, like, are the one,
Yeah.
right, it's really kind of
It's
hard to
it is.
empathize, truly empathize
Mm-hmm.
with that. And like this year especially for me, it's just been such a challenge physically, that it's kind of hopefully it's helped me
Well,
be a better teacher and a
but
better.
to your credit, I know that we've had several conversations throughout this year, especially for both of us, that having those experiences are going to make you a better coach.
Yeah.
And it is something that's terrible to go through, but there is some value that can be brought out of it. It's not easy to always find that value, and it is frustrating as heck when something is taken away from you versus a decision to leave something out. Like, oh, well, now I'm going to move on. I'm not going to do swim, bike, and run. I'm going to do something else. That's different than, well, now you've got an injury, you've got a sickness, you've got this or that, some condition where you can't do it. That becomes harder to operationalize, I guess, and come back from. But you're there, and on top of that, it, those experiences will make you even a stronger coach.
Yeah. So that's what I'm going to get rid of is that. And
Yeah,
but
yeah,
I'm going to keep the mindset that I've had, because you're right. Like my mindset has always been like, what can I take positively out of
yeah,
this?
right.
And how can this experience make me better in the future?
Hmm.
And I've kind of always tried to keep that in my brain.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm going to do. How about you, John? What are you getting rid of?
All right, I'll be very sort of nuts and bolts here. I've actually had some time this last week to redo my chains. So I went through all the old chains I had, and I got rid of a lot of 10-speed chains that I had left over. I tossed those out, and the good 11-speed chains I cleaned. I tried an ultrasound cleaner too. I was a little disappointed. I got to check with you on that. I may not have gotten a
Yeah,
good ultrasound cleaner. I ultrasound cleaned them and then I waxed them. And so now I have three chains that are ready to go. Uh, I need to replace my race chain, which I always like to buy a new chain for races. And I put my race chain aside and obviously use that only for races. I don't use it for training, but all my training chains I pretty much abuse. So they are on the last leg. So that was out with the old, or the old chains in with the new, or cleaned and waxed training chains.
I love that. We didn't do our talk where we talked about what we bought ourselves for Christmas. I bought myself a chain for Christmas.
Oh, good deal. What'd you get?
I actually, it was on Black Friday. I got one of those Silka, they're pre-done chains where
Yep,
they're diamond,
yep.
they're clean with diamond dust
I
or
know which
something
one
like
you're
that.
talking. Yeah, yeah.
And it was $100, but I'm like, you know what? This is gonna be my race
That's
chain for next year.
yeah.
It's all ready. It's literally ready to go.
Awesome.
And I can use it for the whole year. And I'm gonna do like you, like that's gonna be my race chain for the year. And
Yeah,
that was one of the things that I was like, okay, I'm gonna treat myself. It's been a
yeah,
rough year.
yeah,
I'm hoping I get to use it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Right, right, right.
But it's sitting there, it's in the package. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, you know,
How many uses do you think you'll get out of that before you
well, I
have to
think
treat
they
it
said
again?
it's about 400 miles.
Ooh. All right.
No,
Yeah.
no, before you have to re-wax it.
Okay. Okay.
No, it's this similar, like I think like the coating, it's not a coating. They actually, it's
Played
almost
it.
they've sanded it with diamond
Yeah.
dust.
Right.
So
Right.
so it actually
Hmm.
holds the wax a little bit better.
Okay.
And they said it's like 1 watt. I don't know,
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah. Right, right, right.
but the fact
Well,
that it
but
was
a
already
bad chain is,
lose you
that's a
10
big
watts.
savings. Yeah.
So yeah, I think yeah, that's yeah, that was a little treat for myself. But it's
Love
funny
it.
that you mentioned chains because like, oh yeah, I got a new chain that
Yeah,
I
yeah,
I probably won't, break it up till I'm not really planning to race till now, maybe May.
yeah.
So but I'm waiting to
Well,
pull it.
we should do another podcast. I know we did this one time, but we should do it on chain cleaning and preparation. So
Did I wax a chain
I
on the
want to
show?
say we did, but I can't remember if we did it as part of one of our episodes or if we did it. I don't know. We'll have to go back and look because I know we have some information on it, but
Well,
yeah.
and then now there's a newer techniques
Oh yeah.
since even then. Well, once again, I mean, we should. I don't want to make this an infomercial for Silka, but they now have a new cleaner that it's only one step
Okay.
cleaning.
Hmm.
Uh, it's a new solvent that they're using, and because back then I was using it was a 3-step process
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah.
um, to actually clean the chain. And yes, I am interested to know what kind of ultrasonic cleaner you got.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you know me, I got the least expensive one, so
Yeah, see, that's why it didn't work so well.
I know, I
I
know.
spent a little bit more than I wanted to the first time. The first time because on my radar is a better one.
Oh, nice. Okay, well, we'll compare some notes off air.
Yes.
All right, some other old, out with the old swimsuit, in with the new swimsuit. I get about a year on my swimsuit, so
That's
it's
pretty
time to
good.
replace it. Yeah, and so starting new.
Considering you swim almost every day, that's
I-
really good. Like,
Yeah,
what other clothes do you have that you can wear 300-ish times? And then
yeah.
that's That's really good. Well, I guess you clean it every time when you get in the water.
Yeah, right. So it's
Okay,
always nice too because by the time that year is up, it's a good drag suit.
I like that. Okay,
Yeah.
what else?
Socks. Out with the old socks, in with new, and that's always a great. Laura always loves getting me Christmas present socks, so that's starting with a new batch of socks for training.
So do you have specific socks, for example, that you wear for cycling, for running, or do
No,
you
there are
mix and match?
socks that I like, and there are socks I don't like, and it is just yeah, just the feel of it, the fit of it, how high it goes up on the ankle, and the tightness of it. Um, so, but not a specific brand, but I have been purchasing the same ones. I couldn't even tell you the brand. It's not a Nike or Asics or anything like that. It's just a sock that I found that I like.
It's so funny. I have a pair of socks that I've raced in
Mm-hmm.
for probably 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, right.
I have to wear them in the off season because like
Mm,
it'll lose the elasticness if you just keep it in
yeah.
your drawer. So
Mm-hmm.
like every 3 or 4 weeks I get the race socks and I put them on. I'm like, oh yeah,
Nice. I like it.
and I'm wearing them just for that reason.
Yeah.
Like I don't just to sit there. I'm sure there's a way I could probably seal them up with a little
Yeah,
water in
right.
bag or something. I don't know, but I'm like, I'll just wear them.
Freeze dry them. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah,
All
maybe
right.
if
So then,
I have no idea. So that yeah.
all right, love it. Okay. So then my other out with the old in with the new, although this isn't really, I'm trying another brand of shoes. Uh,
Okay.
although I have been very happy with the brand I've used in the past, I, I got to preach what, I got to do what I preach and practice what I preach. And I always tell people, don't be brand loyal and try other shoes. And so I'm actually trying a different brand of shoes now, which is actually a brand of shoes I used back when I started running back in the
Oh,
80s. So
wow.
it's still, that brand is still around. And so, yeah, just a different model shoe. I'm still running in the brand I was wearing this year, but now I'm just alternating and just trying something new.
Yeah. Yeah, that's an interesting one too. Like I've tried a lot of different shoe brands as we did
Hmm.
a whole
Yeah,
episode on a couple episodes on my shoe brands. Um, but I keep going back to the same ones.
yeah,
It's
right. And that's fine. Yeah,
yeah. But I keep trying other ones. I'm like, okay, well,
yeah.
what does this one feel like?
Hmm.
Because honestly, nowadays, I do, we did some of that performance stuff. Like like how it feels is probably the most important.
It's terrible. All the science we've done with shoes, and at the end of the day, it's how's it feel? Is it comfortable? And if it's comfortable, then you're probably on the right track with the right shoe.
Yeah, there's some shoes I put on. I'm just like, oh my gosh, I just want to go for a run. Like it just makes you feel like you
Right.
want to go for a run. And if your shoe doesn't feel like that, your running shoe,
Hmm.
I'm going to tell you change shoes
Yeah.
until you find
Yep.
it's kind of like John, you probably answered this question from many people. What saddle should I get?
Yeah, right.
Oh my gosh, I get this question all the
One that
time.
does not cause pain.
Yeah, and at one point, I think I went through 5 saddles in a year
Oh yeah, wow.
because I just couldn't find one that was
Hmm.
just. But I'm like, okay, well, and I gave it good effort. Gave it like 300-400 miles.
Yep.
Like, huh, that's just not gonna work, and move to the
Hmm.
next one. I used to have a box of saddles,
Yeah.
and then when people would ask me like, hey, what saddle should I get? I'm like, here's a box.
Yeah, right.
Keep trying them until until you find one. And because in my opinion, there's no right answer. It's kind of like with the
No,
running shoe.
you
People
got.
ask me the same question. Hey Ted, what shoe should I be running in?
Hmm. Right.
I can show you some of that. We talked about some of the research on like the most efficient shoes and things
Hmm.
like that. And you might want to go up that list
Hmm.
as far as like the most efficient shoes, but it doesn't matter if they don't feel well.
No, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's funny with saddles. I was fortunate enough to meet someone who was doing saddle fitting, and I was able to go over and try 10 different saddles, and they all were quick release. So it was just like boom, boom, boom. Oh, let me go back to this one. Oh, let me try that one. Let me try this one again. And that was really helpful. Now, once I found the one saddle that I really liked, I just I just stay with that one, and no reason to change it. Okay, so now we said we'd keep this one short, but I'm curious, what was your proudest moment of 2023?
Oh man, that's a
Put
really
you on
good.
the spot.
Like in triathlon or just in life?
Well, maybe triathlon, but maybe it's not triathlon. Yeah, I don't know. That's a good
Oh,
delineation.
man, that's a really tough
Uh,
one for me. My proudest moment. Hmm. I honestly can't even, John, you put me on the spot. I can't think of my proudest moment of the year in triathlon. I actually want to think it was, well, I'm going to go back to coaching, and it was probably that, the several people that qualified for the 70.3 worlds.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And like, and for me, like, it was not going, and why I couldn't go was really difficult. And
Hmm.
just having like the pre-race conversations with them, well, like I'm in bed with a catheter in me, and I'm still able to like help them.
Yeah,
And I was pretty proud of, I think I'm pretty proud of that. Yeah.
I love it. I actually was gonna guess that you would say jumping off the boat at Alcatraz was a proud moment.
No, it wasn't. John, the funny thing is that, you know, I never had any fear.
Yeah, yeah,
Like once I was there,
right.
like my mind leading up to it about, oh, it's going to be colder.
Hmm.
But when I was on the boat, there at no point was there any fear.
Yeah, yeah,
Now,
that's great.
when I was halfway,
Yeah,
and I was like, man, I've been out here a long time, and it's a long way to go.
yeah.
Then
Hmm.
there was then there
Uh,
was fear,
that-
but there's no going back then. No, yeah, that's good. Yeah,
yeah, it's hard to pick out one moment because
it is.
both of us have you see success in a lot of different things, and sometimes success is jumping off the boat, and that's a proud moment, and sometimes it's something different in terms of mentoring or being part of someone else's story. So I think that's a
Yeah, how
good
about you,
message to
John?
give out. Yeah.
What was your proudest moment?
Like you, it's hard to put a thumb on anyone. I knew I was asking a question. I'd have to quickly think of one.
Yeah,
I think, doing well at Oceanside and getting a spot at Oceanside, a roll down even, was really special because that was a goal I had set for that race specifically, and it was nice to actually hit that goal for that one. But then the other proud moment I had was Tempe 70.3, which was not my best time. Probably a slower time than a long time, but it was a proud moment because you know, it was coming back from overcoming a number of things that were even challenging getting to the start line. And so it was just neat having that feeling of accomplishment, regardless of the time or the place or what have you. It was really that was special.
so it's so funny because like I also thought of something different for you.
Oh
So
yeah.
this is what we should talk about. We should write this down for next year. I was most impressed. You won a race.
Oh right.
Honestly, like I know it was not like the biggest race in the world, but
No.
anytime you win a race,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like I think I've only won two triathlons,
Right.
like where I won the whole race.
Mm-hmm.
So to win a race, John, like that's pretty awesome. Like to
Well,
me,
yeah. Well, thank you, and I've had the pleasure and honor of winning, a handful of races,
yeah,
going back in even the 80s. And it's funny that you say that because actually I was looking at old pictures. We were trying to sort through pictures for the year, and I was coming across different podium pictures. And it actually really neat to see. I was able to stand on the podium with a number of different people that all respected athletes, and it just that was actually proud to be part of podiums of that other people are on as well. And so yeah, no, thank you, and yeah, no, that is definitely special.
yeah. And I guess if we really want to think about racing this year, I think my race at Morro Bay would be like
Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I had a pretty rough spring as well, and yeah, so
Yeah,
that was probably, getting on the podium there, because honestly there were some points in the year where I was like, I'll probably not be able to ever be on
that's
a
right. Yeah,
70.3 podium again.
yeah.
And so that was yeah, that was a good day. So
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's awesome. Well, it's so neat that we can look back on 2023, and even though it was a tough year, there were a lot of good high points. And I think that mindset, taking that forward into 2024, it's going to be a good year.
yeah, absolutely. Well, John, hey, thank you so much for connecting at a strange time in
Yeah,
Las Vegas. And making this work. It's about, well, it's 8:35 here, so almost bedtime here. I know, yeah,
Yeah.
Friday night in London on New Year's Eve weekend, and the Gerards will be in bed by 9 o'clock. It's
Yeah.
uh, hopefully we can get rid of these colds that we have, uh, and have a good final weekend on our trip. So
Awesome. Well, have a great time celebrating New Year's Eve, and I look forward to ringing in 2024, and we'll have a good year.
yep, okay, awesome. Well, we'll talk to you next week.
All right. Talk soon. Safe
Bye,
travels.
John.